What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY and Tesla in the overall market. I'm going to talk about some big factors involved with the markets and what's just coming out, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY. This offer ends in just a couple of weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, the SPY is now shuffling at this 550 area. We got the unemployment numbers, and they weren't too bad. That's why the market's holding up quite well. So let's go over those real quick before I break down the charts. So the non-farm payrolls was basically at 142,000. This is close to expectations. There were a lot of analysts saying they wanted 165,000, so it did come a little short, but it wasn't too bad overall. Unemployment was at 4.2%, aligned with expectations. This is a small, it actually decreased just a tiny bit, but it's not bad whatsoever. I just want to say that this is more positive, at least for us, because we didn't see another big spike in unemployment to incite more fear. Right now the market is still holding up as a result of that. Labor force participation rate was as expected. All the data was quite decent. Even non-farm payrolls in the private sector were decent, so decent data overall. Most of the jobs numbers were decent. Now the question is, what's going to happen from here? We have a couple of Fed speakers. We have Williams and Waller giving speeches later on, so we'll see what they end up saying. And besides that, I just want to mention that now the market thinks there's a 43% chance we get a 25 basis point cut and about a 57% chance we get a 50 basis point cut. That's what the market's pricing in for FOMC in about 12 days from now. I also want to note that right now we have about 270 plus thousand calls expiring and over 650,000 puts expiring. 552 is max pain for SPY, with the 2.29 being the puts to call ratio. I'll be watching this very carefully. With that being said, let's now just focus on the charts. So SPY is in a very interesting place. It's trying to push just a little bit. We're at this 550 resistance. It's very tough right now. I think that we're basically range bound. If we break 550, we could be looking for a push for 552. That's where we have our 4-hour 20 EMA, followed by 554. Those are going to be resistance levels. If we break that, we could be pushing for 556. Otherwise, we're just in this range for the time being. If we end up dipping lower, you're going to be looking at 547 is our key support. If we fail there and if it does not hold, we're at risk of dumping all the way down to about the gap fill for 543. So I'll be watching to see, do we dip to fill the gap at 543? Do we hold up? Because of the fact that the options chain is so biased in favor of puts, max pain's at 552. So if we do hold above 550 for the entire day, I think we could be closing for 552. If we don't hold above 550, we could be dipping and just consolidating. And if we end up losing 547, then we're going to be looking for a dip. Just know that 547 is a strong support. That's where we have our 200 EMA. If we lose the 547 today, guys, remember that there's going to be a bigger dump coming. So make sure you're prepared for that just to be safe. There could be some manipulation nonetheless. So we'll see how things go. As of right now, during the pre-market SPY is completely range bound. We're just waiting to see what the direction will be. So give it some time. Nvda is also completely range bound, and the reason for that is because we have this range right over here. So we have 110 as our main resistance, and then we have 104 as our main supports. If we break 110, we're going to be looking for a push for at least 115. And if we end up losing 104, we're looking for 99. We're just in the middle, so give this some time to develop. For ES, we're trying to get bought back up, but we're looking at this range right over here. We have 55.10 as our main support. If we lose this, we could be dipping back down to 54.80. And if we hold above this, we're looking for resistance at 55.40. We're stuck in between these levels, so it's another range that's developing on ES. So we just have to wait and see which way we end up going. This is our range. We're still stuck technically just around these areas. So as you guys can see, we have two main resistance levels, and then we have the support down here. We're just going back and forth and back and forth. So give this the time it needs. That's going to be very, very prevalent, at least for the time being. For Bitcoin, we've been trying to rebound. We're looking at resistance at 57,000. If we break that, we could be pushing for just under 58,000. If we reject it, we're looking for 55,600. We're just stuck in the middle, going back and forth and back and forth. So give this some time. It's just shuffling right now. It's just range bound. So I'm just waiting to see which way we break. If we hold above 57,000, we turn more bullish for a little bit of a push. And if we don't break 57,000, we could be returning to this range. That's all I'm saying for now. So give it some time to develop. For NQ, it's the same thing as ES. We're still trying to stay in this range. We're basically going to be looking for 18,800 as our first support, and 18,700 is our next one. Then we have resistance at 19,000. If we break 19,100, we turn bullish, and if we lose 18,700, we turn more bearish. Otherwise, we're just range bound on NQ for the time being. So we're going to wait and see which way we break. We might just continue to shuffle for now. And then we'll see if we get a dip later on. I do think that this might dip a little bit towards the 18,800 area, but so far it's looking kind of flat. Unlike that, right now the QQQ is holding up quite well, but we're still at a tough resistance. We have 460.8 as resistance. If we break that, we're looking for 463. We have support at about 458. If that fails us, this is like a really, really big support. We're at risk of tipping even lower towards like 455 and 453. So watch your levels. We'll be watching just to see how things end up developing. We're kind of stuck in between these ranges. So give this the time it needs. That's going to be very, very key for us. So far, the QQQ is doing a good job at holding up, but there is a risk of it dipping if we end up losing that 458 support. So give it some time. I think we need some time to develop. It may just continue to shuffle between the ranges. For Aapl, we're looking a little bit more bullish. We're looking at 224 as resistance. If we break this, we're looking for 226. If we reject it, we're going to be looking for support at 222, followed by 220. Overall, the 4 hours looking more bullish. We'll be looking to see if we could break 224 or not, but I see potential in this nonetheless. For the IWM, we're just range bound right now. We have 212 as resistance. If we don't reclaim this, we're at risk of dipping to 208. So we got to see if we could reclaim this. We look a little bit lackluster. It's very tough right now, but we will see. I think it might just shuffle for the time being, but I do think there's a risk of it dipping lower if we don't reclaim 212. For Coinbase basically has resistance around 165 and 167. Our support to watch for is at 161 and 158. I think that this is attempting to rebound, but that depends on if we can try to break above this resistance. I still think that this could attempt a little bounce if we get above 165. And then if we break that, we're looking for 167 and 170. So I think this could try to push higher. So give this some time just to see how things develop. There is potential in this nonetheless. For Amazon, we have a very, very nice looking cup and handle like structure that's developing so far. If we break past 178, we're looking for 180 as our next imbalance fill. If we reject, we're going to be looking for 175 as our main support. Now, this has a cup and handle, has potential to push. But we have this resistance to watch for at 178. I think I skipped over Tesla by mistake. Sorry about that, guys. For Tesla, we look very bullish right now. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure that's developing. We look quite nice ever since they announced their FSD expanding to Europe and China. But for Tesla, we need to see it break past 235. If we break 235, Tesla will be pushing into the 240s. If we don't break 235, we could be dipping back down to 230. So 235 is a tough resistance. We'll see if Tesla could break that or not. I presume we will break that and start filling our gap above into the 240s very, very soon. So I see potential in Tesla nonetheless. For other tickers out there, we also have Meta. Meta's looking a little bit more bullish. If we can hold above 520, we're going to be looking for this thing to potentially push up towards 524. If we lose 516, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to about 510. But overall, it looks a little bit more bullish as long as we hold above 517. We're looking for 524. For Microsoft, we look a little bit more bullish. We're looking at 410 as resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 412. And we have support all the way down here around 405. So I see potential in Microsoft to push up towards 409 and 412. So it has potential. Google also has potential. We have a range. If we lose 156, we turn bearish. If we break 160, we turn bullish. This is favoring 160 plus. So it's doing a good job thus far. So overall, guys, the market is looking like it's very mixed, very range bound, but some tickers have some potential for upside like Tesla. We'll see if Tesla can break resistance though, but it has potential nonetheless. Just don't forget that this resistance near 135 is very tough. We did reject 4 times off this already, but with the inverse head and shoulders, this makes me presume it's going to be pushing for these imbalances very soon, so it has potential. So we'll see how things go for Tesla. Just wanted to call that out. The market is still range bound nonetheless, and we're going to be watching to see how these charts develop as we approach these very, very key levels. So we'll see how well SPY holds above this 550 area, if we can try to break out or not. And then also we're going to be watching to see what the reaction is. The unemployment numbers are out, not bad whatsoever. That's why the market's holding up. And then we have a couple of Fed speakers like Williams and Waller coming out very soon at 8:45 a.m. and 11 a.m. So we'll see how things end up developing from there. But with that being said, guys, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another update. Until then, have a great day and peace out.